Alright, so the game is starting to deal with some very interesting things. They're literally trying to explain to you how does life work. And you have this essence which is called ether, and they say literally, they explain you how, what is the process of death. They say you are ether, and once you know, ether, once you die in your physical form, your ether just goes back into the ethereal realm. Now, I was just talking about that when I was trying to explain something about immortality, because they do mention it before with the Sahagin trying to follow the guide that these Ashen beings told them to achieve this immortality, and then this Naga, this Sahagin, goes into the whole cinematic where he goes through this process of, and I find it quite interesting how they manage it here, this process of ascension. I'm not gonna sit here because I want to talk about this. So he goes into this process of ascension, and then he says transfiguration, which is something interesting. There's a transfiguration, right? Like, we've never heard that before. And so the whole thing that they're managing is this: you are this. They're trying to explain the soul as this ether, as this force who goes back into the universe, and then into the non-physical world. And I was talking about this before, and I wasn't sure if they were gonna go straight into this, and they actually did go straight into this. So this is how they achieve immortality. They let go of the physical and just become the non-physical. This idea of two worlds is something that is in most ancient philosophies and some of the new research coming from you know, quantum physics and all these things. There's a lot of, as I've been saying all along, I do some real life research on these themes, and death and light and all these things is so interesting. And the reason why I play these video games in the first place is because, well, I of course I like to make memes about them, and I love PvP. But more than anything, I play them because they try to tell us who we are. They try to tell us what are the origins of the universe, where we're going, and more or less how does it work. But I never thought that this game would actually go so deep to try to explain the two worlds, the world the physical and the world the non-physical. As I said, Plato even spoke about this in his theory of forms. There's an ideal form, it's an ideal tree, there's an ideal table, an ideal goblet, where it's made of thought forms, and these thought forms, what we see in the physical world, come from these thought forms. So it's sort of like that, what they're trying to say here. And these primals and so on, they have their own thing going, but this idea of reincarnation, the process, the cycle, it's so interesting that they are approaching all of this. And now you may ask yourself, I may ask myself, what does the light has to do with any of this? What does being good and uniting the kingdoms and uniting the people of Eosia, and they do all these cinematics about how, you know, people from Eosia, they are such animals and they're just fighting with each other because they are selfish pigs. But, you know, I admire their resolve, and their, you know, when they fall down, they just stand up again and try to get something going, or something like that. That's what Alfino just said. So they try to, it's about being human. The narrative is trying to approach what is being human, being a flawed human, born in sin. As Sultan Ramu said something about that, born in sin, and you are to overcome your humanity, your evilness, your darkness. They talk about, you know, humans bringing darkness and so on. And so you are the light, and there's this light in the universe, in the cosmos, that exists, just like the Ascians. So now, in order to not drag this any longer, or not too much longer, and to make it more pragmatic, and I just want to go, oh, we are one, we are the force, we are the light. No, it's more complex than that. So now, in the same way that Sahagin was trying to achieve immortality and went into a process of ascension, went into the quote-unquote transfiguration to become ascended, to become immortal, given the guidelines from the Ashen, and he just let go of his body and he became this orb of ether. And then he jumped into the one next to him and he became that next being. And the power of these beings is what empowers their primal. With the echo, you go past the boundaries of the soul, the boundaries of your physical being, and you can go back in time. You can experience things as others felt, as others saw them. You are no longer you. You become part of a unified field of consciousness. This is what they're trying to tell you. It's not a. This is why man is flawed, because man is selfish. Man only thinks about what are they gonna gain, and they don't care about others because they don't see themselves as others. But what they're trying to lead you in the game, and what seems to be the reality in real life, in this research that has been going on, is that you are not yourself, you're not your ego. You go past the boundary of your physical form and you become unified to this field of consciousness. This is the echo, this is the larger divinity, you may call it, the larger truth that you are not yourself. And they are trying to approach this theme in this game in such a creative manner, with the whole ether going past and going to the ethereal, but then there's this other in between the ethereal and the physical and non-physical. And now the Buddhists, they used to call this a bardo, which is the astral realm, the in-between between this cycle of reincarnation. This is where the Asians live, and the Asians might not be purely evil, which I think the further expansions address in a way. It's just a larger reality. There's so much more to dig about this, and I'm gonna go into it, but I think that's all I can handle right now. So why do we make a case about morality, about being good, about being righteous? Me as a paladin, I should know. It's not about just fluffy stuff and just trying to be good just because or whatever. It's because you are literally the other beings. In the more expanded version of yourself, past your little body, you are part of them and part of everything. And it seems that all these menaces, all these primals, and all these challenges that humans have to face might be us trying to learn a lesson. Or a higher force trying to teach us a lesson. So it is quite complicated. It's very complex, and I am so fascinated that the game is taken into such complexities. All my grinding of these goddamn annoying filler quests has paid off just because of this moment, because this is what I was saying about World of Warcraft Shadowlands. They went into exploring the afterlife and just these cosmic realities beyond what the more common, the more traditional narratives have done. So now the narratives are going hyper mode and going into these cosmic themes, and I absolutely love it.